If you was to walk outside right now and you seen $5 sitting in front of you, are you going to pick it up, yes or no? The answer is probably yes. I would do the same. Well, not contributing to your 401k is stepping over that $5. What's going on, y'all? We got another important one today. Without further ado, let's get into it. Today we are talking about three numbers, the 401k. I'm going to show you guys today what it even is, what a 401k is, where your money is being invested, and why you should be taking advantage of that today if you're not. All right, so Ryan, what is a 401k? The 401k is an employer retirement account where you're able to defer part of your paycheck into investments. Now, you're able to choose traditional, which is pre-tax, or post-tax, which is Roth. Majority of people do go the traditional route, so I'll just be touching on that today. So here are the numbers you need to know. Now, this video here is being filmed in 2025, meaning these numbers can change, but as of right now, the employee contribution limit for the 401k is $23,500 a year, meaning you can only contribute up to $23,500 until you hit that cap. And if you're watching this video over the age of 50, the cap for you is $30,500. So if you're under 50 years old, you're able to contribute up to $23,500. And if you're over 50 years old, you're able to contribute $30,500. And the contribution limit for employee plus employer is $70K. What do you mean employee plus employer, Ryan? That's where the match comes into play. Let me tell you guys what the match means. So the match in simplest terms is whatever you contribute into your 401k, your company is going to match that. So let's say you were to contribute $200 of your paycheck into your 401k, your employer is going to match that. Now, I know what you might be thinking, why don't I just deposit my whole entire paycheck since my employer is going to match it and now I just double my money just like that? I wish it worked like that. I actually thought it worked like that myself when I first got started with the 401k. But most employers offer up to 4 to 6% match, meaning if you were to contribute 4% of your paycheck, and let's say 4% of your paycheck is $150, your employer will then match that $150, and now you're at $300. But once you exceed that contribution limit, you can still contribute to your 401k, but the employer is just not going to match that amount. So listen, I like to bring numbers into the example so you guys can get clarity on what it is I'm trying to portray in this video, as well as leaving this video with some understanding. So as I said, let's just say 4% of your paycheck is $150, right? And your employer's, the contribution limit is 4%, so they'll match that 150, so now you're at 300. But let's just say you're like, you know what, I want to contribute a little bit more, so I want to go to 8%, right? So now I'm contributing with 8% of your paycheck is 300, right? But the contribution limit is 4%. Your employer is going to match 150 of that 300 because the contribution limit is 4%. That remaining 150 that additional 150 you put in is still going to go into your 401k account. It's just not going to be matched. I hope that makes sense. Listen, the rule of thumb with a 401k is at minimum contribute whatever your employer is matching. So if your employer is matching 4%, your baseline for your contribution limit is 4%. If your employer is matching 5%, your baseline is 5%, so on and so forth, right? And then over time, we can start to increase that contribution limit, and I'll touch on that on a later part in this video. So listen, speaking of the match, I want to touch on where your money even goes, right? So where's your money being invested into? There's three places it can be invested. That's index funds, bond funds, and target date funds. So listen, you do have the option to choose between those three. Most people, they're thrown into the default, which is the target date fund, or the QDIA. What QDIA stands for is Qualified Default Investment Account. That's currently what my 401k is being invested in right now. Like I said, you do have the option to choose between those three, but most people are in the QDIA, or target date fund. Okay, cool. So now let's speak on vesting and leaving your job. What does vesting mean? Vesting, when we're talking about investments, is simply whatever that vests is yours, right? So whatever you contribute to your 401k is your money. If you've contributed up to $5,000, that $5,000 is your money. If you've contributed $10,000, the $10,000 is your money, right? Now, your employer match vest, right, may take 2 to 5 years, depending on your employer. Check with HR to figure out your vesting schedule. Now, what that means is employers typically, they want to encourage their employees to stay for a specific amount of time. And to do that, they have a vesting schedule, right? So some employers, they may say, okay, hey, you need to stay with the company for, let's say, 3 years. 3 years for your match to vest, for your match to be yours. So yes, you've contributed $10,000 of your money, that is yours. And let's say we've matched $7,000, but you need to stay here for 2 years for that match to now vest and be yours, right? And if you do leave before that time, you do risk forfeiting whatever it is that you had matched, right? If you leave before that vesting schedule, you do risk forfeiting whatever has matched, right? So check with HR to see what your vesting schedule is to make sure that you're taking full advantage of the match, and also being able to be aware if you do leave your job, what you may be leaving on the table. Now, very quickly, I want to speak on leaving a job, right? Leaving a job also raises the topic of finding a new role or finding a new company, right? So I know you may be thinking, hey, if I was to leave my current job and go to a new one, do I have to start over with my investments or my 401k? If I left my company at $12,000, do I have to go to the new company and start over at zero? The answer is no, right? You're typically able, once again, check with HR. You're able to roll over whatever it is that your current employer over to the next 401k account. Let's just say they're using a different firm. For me, I'll use myself as an example. My past employer, we were using T. Rowe Price as the firm for our 401k, and now at my current employer, I'm using Fidelity. I was able to roll over my earnings that was in my 401k at T. Rowe Price over to Fidelity. It's something that's a pretty simple process, so if you're thinking that you need to start over at zero, if you change companies, the answer is no. Okay, cool. Let's fast forward 4 years from now. You've applied everything you learned from this video, and you started investing in your 401k account. And now you're looking at $55,000 sitting in your account. And you're like, damn, I got $55,000 to my name. Let me take some of that and cash out on this new car. Let me inform you guys on the consequences of doing so. As I mentioned at the start of this video, the 401k is a retirement account, meaning if you were to withdraw from your 401k account anytime before the age of 59 and a half, there are consequences to doing so. So one of those consequences being is a 10% penalty, right? So let's just say you built up your 401k account to $100,000 and you want to withdraw that $100,000 before the age of 59. You'll be looking at a 10% penalty. So 10% of 100,000 is 10K. So now your 100,000 turned into 90,000 just because you withdrew before the age of retirement. So listen, the second consequence being is you're going to also have to pay income tax on what it is that you withdrew. So meaning, let's just say your salary is 65,000 and you withdrew 20K from your 401k, that 20K is going to be put on top of that 65K, and now you're going to be paying taxes as someone that earned 85K that specific year. Speaking on taxes, I want to highlight one of the biggest and largest benefits of the 401k, and that is it lowers your taxable income each year. Meaning, once you start contributing to your 401k, your contributions are deducted from your paycheck before federal and state income tax come into play. So listen, I want to bring an example including numbers once again to bring some clarity to that statement, right? So let's just say your salary is 65K, right? And in the year 2025, you contribute 7K to your 401k, right? So before you were contributing to your 401k, when tax season rolled around, you'll be taxed as someone that's earning 65K a year, right? But because you started contributing to your 401k, you'll now be taxed. So like I said, you contributed 7K in the year 2025, and 65 minus 7 is 58. So now that you contributed 7K to your 401k, you'll be taxed as someone that's earning 58K as opposed to 65, right? So that's one of the biggest benefits of the 401k is you'll be taxed as someone earning less even though your salary stays the same. Now, speaking on taxes, I want to touch on one of the downsides of the 401k, which in no way, shape, or form outweighs the pros, and that is the fact that you will have to pay taxes on what you withdraw even if you wait to the age of retirement. So let's just say you build your retirement account up to $2 million. Well, when it's time to withdraw, when you are retiring, you will have to pay taxes on that $2 million. That's one of the downsides of the 401k, which, like I said before, does not outweigh the pros. Still take advantage of the free money and invest into your 401k today. To bring this thing into real life on why you need to start right now is, let's just say, I'm gonna use myself as an example. I'm 25 years old. So let's say I started contributing today, right? $500 a month at a 7% return on that investment. At the age of 65, my 401k account will be sitting at $1.2 million. Now, let's just say I waited 10 years later and started at the age of 35, right? Investing that same $500 a month. My investment account now would be sitting at $600,000, right? So starting 10 years early gave me double the money. This is why I say it's so important to start now and let the art of compounding take care of it for you. The second rule of thumb outside of meeting your employer's match is understanding that the 401k is not current me's money, right? This is future me's money. You can look at it, but if you reach to touch it, tell yourself, no, don't touch it. You can look at it, but don't touch it, right? I made that mistake before, right? This is the money to take care of us when we do retire, right? Unless there's an unforeseen circumstance when we have no choice but to withdraw from this account, we do not need to ever make a withdrawal from this account until we reach the age of retirement. So what would I do if I'm starting right now? What I would do first is build up an emergency fund that saves up to 3 months of expenses, right? Before I start contributing to my 401k, if I do not have an emergency fund, I'm going to build that up to 3 months of expenses first, right? Once you've hit that checkbox, now, okay, I'm going to start contributing whatever the limit is my employer is matching, right? So if it's 4%, I'm going to start contributing 4% of my paycheck to my 401k. The third step is I would tackle any high APR or high interest debt, right? Anything with high interest, knock that out the way, right? And then step 4 is start increasing how much you're contributing to your 401k over time, right? I'm a swing for the fences type of dude. So when I first started contributing to my 401k, I was like, screw the match. I'm gonna give 12%, right? I have over time actually scaled back to 4% because my employer is matching 4. Ryan, why did you go from 12 to 4? 12 is a better number. Well, I skipped step 3, right? I have a high car loan that's waving over my head right now. And I'm like, you know what? Why am I investing this money into the 401k when I need to tackle this debt first, right? So that's why I've scaled mine back. So I want you guys to start first with the emergency fund, build up the expenses, the emergency fund up to 3 months of expenses, start taking advantage of your match, knock out whatever high interest debt is hovering over your head, and then start contributing more to your 401k account over time, right? You typically want to increase it by 1% each year. So if your first year is 4%, you want to try to make it up to 5%, right? After the first year, and so on and so forth, until you make it up to maybe 12 to 15%. You don't want to be putting your whole entire paycheck inside of there, of course, but 10 to 15% is the sweet spot to kind of accelerate how much that a retirement account is going to yield over time. If you was to walk outside right now and you seen $5 sitting in front of you, are you going to pick it up, yes or no? The answer is probably yes. I would do the same. Well, not contributing to your 401k is stepping over that $5. You are leaving free money on the table. Whatever your employer is matching, take advantage of that. That is the biggest benefit of the 401k, is it is literal free money. What other ways can you go about making free money? Legally. If there's some legal ways you know about making free money, please let me know in the comment section, because I would love to take advantage of that. But listen, if you're about your money, you are about things that are free. That's why I love the 401k so much, because it is free and money coming together. You will be a fool to leave that on the table and not take advantage of it. So listen, the best part about the 401k is it is automated. You cannot miss money that you do not see. Meaning, once you figure out your contribution, whatever percentage that is, that's going to be automatically taken from your paycheck, right? So when we're talking about budgeting and things of that nature, you're going to base that off of what it is you're paid, and your 401k is going to fund itself behind the scenes, right? So with that being said, listen, stop stepping over that $5. If the $5 was in front of you outside, you would pick it up. So why are you going to leave hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table when your employer is offering that for free, right? Take advantage of it today. Let the art of compounding fund your future. So listen, if you made it to this part of the video, I appreciate you. If you're not contributing to your 401k today, first, of course, build up that emergency fund. But then after that, contact HR, open up your employee portal, and start contributing the match. Whatever that match is your employer is offering, start contributing the match today. And if you are contributing to your 401k and you made it to this part of the video, I appreciate you. I hope you were able to leave with some clarity on where your money is even going and what some of the benefits of the 401k are. Listen, with that being said, like, comment, and subscribe. It helps the message get out there. I know this information will be beneficial for me when I was in high school, and I want to spread this information to wherever it is seems fit. And I'll catch you guys next week. Hey, take care.